New whip. JS. Big burn. Conditions are, quite frankly, abysmal. Just gonna go out for a quick hour of power. This thing sucks in small waves. I think that's a good thing. The foil on it, it's very thin. Everything's thin and knifey. Everything but the outline is just screaming hold and control in a fast, powerful wave, which is exactly what I want it for. See how it goes tomorrow. Story time. So, why did I buy this board? Basically, I'm an intermediate surfer, I'm trying to get better. Maybe 18 months ago I bought an Album Townsend as a step up mid-length, and that worked phenomenally for me for basically up until January of last year, where I broke my wrist, and then I was out of the water for like close to 6 months. And when I was coming back to the water, I was like, oh yeah, I'll be on my mid-length, because mid-lengths are nice for when you're getting back into surfing. And it was so narrow, that board, that I found it really hard to pop up. So I went and got myself a Machado Sunday 7.0, and that thing was incredible for getting back into surfing. One, for mid-lengthing in small weak waves, and just for making surfing fun again. So I had two mid-lengths, a 7.0 and a 6.8. One was like 39 litres, the other was like 55 litres. For the last couple months I basically wasn't surfing them. The Sunday I just didn't enjoy anymore because I was ripping around on the seaside on my fish. And the Townsend I just wasn't surfing that much because it needs like a big fat face. It doesn't really like super hollow, pockety waves, that board, as I discovered, because of the wide nose forward and the low rocker. That's where I was at, and I was like, I want a mid-length for good waves that also means hollow waves, hopefully barreling waves. So I sold the Sunday, sold the Townsend. So yeah, Big Barren by JS.
More fun than anyone, I reckon. I know you don't want to be that guy on the surf where you're just taking over, but he was taking over. He was catching anything and everything. Seems like I spend all of my
time. In the past, I would complain about boards with a continuous rocker like this. It's a pretty medium, but it's a continuous rocker. I'll complain about them being very slow. But basically what that means is they sit more in the pocket, so you can do more in the pocket surfing. I've got a theory, rocket boards are easy to get into a barrel on because they'll go a bit slower. I might be wrong, but I think that's generally true. So it's a JS. So JS, he makes some ridiculously, basically he makes some of the most high performance shortboards there are on the market. He's a high performance shortboard shaper. I just knew if he's shaped a mid, it's going to be a high performance mid. So, and then I looked at Woolly's review, and I also watched And in Woolie's review, he basically says what I suspected, which is it's like if you get on the tail, it's like a high performance shortboard. And then I watched Mason Ho surfing it in the electric acid surfboard test by Stab, and he was ripping on it and frothing it, and I was like, yep, that looks like it'll fit the bill of what I'm after. So I got it. First couple sessions on it, I was running the Channel Islands Performance Keel Fin, like upright keel fin, and that was just the fins that the guy who sold me the board gave me. And it felt really good down the line, but it didn't really want to turn like I wanted it to. So I went and got some JS Power Twins Twin Plus trailer set, and they've been working great. It turns really nice now. I haven't surfed it enough, but I've been struck by how high performance it feels once you get back on the tail. Look at this tail, right? This tail is razor thin, and it's quite pulled in. But once you jump up with your front foot like here and start doing like cheetah fives, you can just glide through the smallest, fattest sections on waves. So it's definitely working as like a high performance mid for me, and it's kind of like a step up. If the waves get too big for me when I paddle around on my shortboard, or if there's just a fucked current, or if there's a massive paddle out, or whatever there is, if I want to ride a mid for whatever reason, this thing, I think it's going to serve me well. It's a little update for my quiver. The dims, so it's a 6'8" by 20 3/4 by 2 5/8. So you think about those dimensions, they're not crazy dims, like they're not crazy small dims, but the volume is 38.5 litres. My Seaside is 35 litres, so it's only 3 litres more than my 5'8" fish. Now, for a mid, from my perspective, these rails are knifey as fuck. Even, like up here even, in the nose, they're still way sharper than the Sunday. They're sharper than the Townsend. They're much sharper rails. Rocker, like I said, it's not hectic rocker, but it's continuous, and I think you can definitely feel that when you're on the wave. It doesn't want to run out in front of the pocket at all. It feels fast and loose in the pocket. If you run out of the pocket, it doesn't feel fast anymore. It turns really nice. It holds really nice on rail. It feels predictable, and when you're doing a bottom turn and you're pumping down the line, it feels very predictable, and it gives you a lot of confidence because you know nothing weird's going to happen, like you're not going to slip out or anything. And if there's a step in the wave, you're not going to nosedive. Like I've gone down some steps on this board, and I've gone, oh, I'm nosediving for sure. And I've taken some hollow takeoffs, and I'm like, I'm definitely nosediving, and I've just not nosedived for some reason. And then, as I said before, once you get up on the nose, it's glidey as, like, it just goes from this really, it feels like almost a step up on the tail, and then up on the nose it feels almost like a nose rider. Like, it's fucking, it's so weird. It's so cool. It's so cool. Is it easy to surf? It doesn't paddle that great. It's got rocker. It's not a lot of volume. Compared to other mids that I've surfed, it definitely doesn't paddle very nice. It catches waves fine, because you can just catch waves in a more hollow part of the wave, so you're just catching them a bit further in than you would. Once you're up and riding, it's very easy and intuitive to surf, in my opinion. It's a twin, so if you're used to twins, then it'll feel like a high performance twin on the tail, like I said. The waves that it suits, so again, like I said, I kind of bought it for good waves, so punchy waist high, like really hollow waist high, it'd be fun. Shoulder to head high mushy waves, it's fun. Anything below that in the mushy genre of waves, or anything below that in the punchy genre of waves, I don't think it's going to be that much fun. You're going to want to be on a different board. But then anything above that, stand-up barrels, essentially. Like, I think this thing will go, sky's the limit on this thing. I've heard people say that they've surfed in Hawaii and surfed it from like 2 to 20 foot. I don't know. I mean, yeah. Well, I guess we'll find out. I haven't surfed it enough to say if there's going to be I think the limit is just going to be what you can paddle it into, which is, if you're really good at surfing, it's going to be quite high, and if you're not that good at surfing, it's not going to be that high, but I'm hoping to get barreled on this board. So that's the waves that it suits, that's the wave range, I guess. And then for this board, would I recommend it to other people? Yeah. It's definitely a good daily driver if you're a high intermediate advanced surfer and you want to surf a mid. And if you're a low intermediate, mid-intermediate, which I think is where I am, I think it's a good step up mid, like a mid that you would use in good waves, because when waves get really good, sometimes you don't want to use your shortboard because you can't paddle. It's a lot easier to surf a mid than it is to surf a shortboard. So when waves get really good and you just want to make sure that you're catching them and you're getting up and riding them, it's kind of like a step up in that way. I'll do a proper review in a couple months when I've surfed at a time and I've really got a good understanding for it. So you're going to see a bunch of videos of me riding this now. Never thought I'd ride a JS, but here we are. Streets.
Definitely worth for its intended purpose.